Welcome to Rasta Today, the channel that brings you the stories of reggae legends, Rasta culture, and the revolutionary voices that shaped our world. He was a voice for the oppressed, a fearless advocate for justice, and a musical genius who challenged the world's injustices. This is the story of Peter Tosh, a rebel soul whose legacy continues to inspire. Born in a small seaside village in Jamaica, Peter Tosh grew up surrounded by poverty, but nurtured by a deep love for music. In the church, he found his voice, but he also began questioning the teachings he heard. Eventually, young Peter rejected the teachings of the church altogether, stating, "I heard of the name God, I go to church, and they said God made man of his own likeness and image. If I made a doll in my image, it is quite obvious that the doll must look like me. Yet still, I am faced with the ignorance, lost into fantasy, seeking to find the reality in what they taught me, of this illusion of God." His inquisitive nature and sharp mind would later define his path. As a teenager, Peter moved to Kingston, where he found himself in the heart of Trenchtown, a tough place that birthed Jamaica's greatest musical talents. It was there he met Bob Marley and Bunny Wailer, forming the Wailers, a group that would soon revolutionize music. In 1965, the Wailers released their debut album, which featured a striking photograph of Peter Tosh. This image later became the inspiration for the Two-Tone Records logo, known as Walt Jabsco, symbolizing the fusion of Jamaican ska and British punk. Peter's influence stretched far beyond reggae, leaving a mark on global music culture. The Wailers' songs spoke of hardship and hope, a lifeline for the poor and oppressed. Tracks like 400 Years, which highlighted the lasting effects of slavery, and Get Up, Stand Up, a call to action against injustice, exemplified their mission. But despite their success, the band struggled financially, with producers pocketing most of the profits. Peter's frustrations with the exploitative industry were just beginning. The Wailers achieved international acclaim with their groundbreaking album Catch a Fire, but tensions within the group grew as Bob Marley was pushed to the forefront, leaving Peter feeling sidelined. Adding to the tensions, Peter and Bunny Wailer felt unfairly treated by Chris Blackwell of Island Records. While Bob Marley received significant promotion and support, Peter and Bunny's contributions were often overlooked. This disparity further deepened the divide within the group. In 1974, Tosh made the bold decision to leave and pursue a solo career. Peter's departure marked the beginning of a new chapter. His solo work would become a platform for his uncompromising messages of justice and equality. As Peter embarked on his solo journey, he faced a devastating personal loss. In 1973, he was involved in a tragic car accident that took the life of his girlfriend, Yvonne. The accident, caused by a vehicle driving on the wrong side of the road, left Peter with severe injuries, including a fractured skull. This traumatic event had a profound impact on Peter, deepening his resolve to use music as a means of expressing pain, struggle, and injustice. It was during this period of recovery that he began shaping the foundation of his solo career. In 1976, Peter released Legalize It, an anthem calling for the legalization of marijuana and a critique of systemic hypocrisy. The album became a hit in Jamaica, but struggled internationally due to censorship and lack of promotion. Undeterred, Peter followed up with Equal Rights, a powerful album that solidified his place as a revolutionary voice. His performances were electrifying. At the One Love Peace concert in 1978, Peter directly confronted political leaders, demanding action for the people of Jamaica. Among the crowd that night was a certain Mick Jagger. Impressed by Peter's charisma and stage presence, Mick Jagger signed him as the first artist on the Rolling Stones records. It seemed like the perfect partnership. The collaboration brought international exposure, with hits like You Gotta Walk and Don't Look Back. Peter toured with the Stones, winning over skeptical rock audiences with his fiery performances and stage presence. But behind the scenes, tensions grew. Financial disputes and creative clashes strained the partnership. On one occasion, Peter, frustrated over unpaid dues, confronted Mick Jagger during a recording session. Witnesses expected the encounter to escalate into violence, but instead the two ended up jamming together, with Mick eventually cutting Peter a personal check to smooth things over. However, Peter's relationship with Keith Richards proved even more volatile. The fallout marked the beginning of the end for Peter's partnership with the Rolling Stones records. Despite the challenges, Peter continued to create music that resonated deeply. His album Mama Africa reflected his journey of self-discovery and his connection to the continent. Peter remained a staunch advocate for the poor and marginalized, using his music to amplify their struggles. However, his activism and unrelenting stance often put him in conflict with the authorities. In 1978, at Halfway Tree Square, Kingston, Peter was arrested. What followed was a brutal beating in police custody, leaving him with a broken hand and severe head injuries. This incident fueled Peter's anger toward the oppressive system and only deepened his resolve to fight for justice through his music. On September 11, 1987, Peter's life was tragically cut short. He was murdered in his home by men he had once helped. The loss of such a powerful voice sent shockwaves through Jamaica and the world. The circumstances surrounding Peter Tosh's death remain shrouded in mystery. What is known is that 3 gunmen, including Dennis Lepo Laban, entered Tosh's home in Kingston. Tosh, who had recently returned from the US, was entertaining friends when the gunmen ordered everyone to the ground and began demanding money. Tosh, insisting he had no cash at the time, was beaten and eventually shot. 2 others, including his longtime friend Winston Doc Brown and radio personality Jeff Free Eye Dixon, were also fatally shot, while several others were wounded. Peter was laid to rest in Belmont, Westmoreland, where Tosh was born. Thousands of fans gathered to honor him, and his legacy lived on through his music and activism. Posthumously, Peter's contributions to music and activism were recognized. His final album, No Nuclear War, won a Grammy, cementing his legacy as a global icon. But for many, his untimely and violent death remains an open wound, a stark reminder of the dangers he faced as an outspoken revolutionary. Peter Tosh was more than a musician. He was a revolutionary who refused to bow to injustice. His music continues to inspire those fighting for freedom and equality. As we celebrate his legacy, let us remember his courage, his message, and his unwavering spirit. Thank you for watching. If Peter Tosh's story inspires you, please like, share, and subscribe to Rasta Today for more stories celebrating the voices that shaped history.